Hey, all, Wes Blankenship here with DawgsHQ. Quick live update here on a Georgia player entering the transfer portal. Defensive lineman Bill Norton entered his name into the portal today. He is the first of any dog to test those transfer portal waters. And when you look at Bill Norton, he came in out of Memphis, appeared in every game for Georgia as a reserve defensive lineman. Also played on special teams. He had three total tackles, three solo tackles, a tackle for loss in those games. So not a major contributor, but he did get his reps. He did play for the Dogs. He did show up, and he made the most of his opportunities. Evidently, he wants to test those waters and get other opportunities elsewhere. Hell of a player. I mean, you go back to his time as a recruit, highly coveted dude coming out of Memphis, and just buried on a Georgia defensive line depth chart. Very talented. You see some guys come through there that were studs, but Norton, as a recruit, a 4-star on-3 consensus. He was the 4th overall prospect in Tennessee, the 21st defensive line prospect, and the 157th national prospect. He did have offers from Alabama, LSU, Oklahoma, and Penn State. So it's not like this guy was just some reserve that Georgia took a flyer on. They saw something in him, and other teams did too. And he saw something in Georgia and couldn't work out for one reason or another. And that's what happens. And that's what the portal allows you to do. You can say, hey, I'm a dog. I'm a guy. I know I can go play. So let me go prove that to some people. And now Norton's going to have a chance to do that. Appreciate y'all tuning in to DawgsHQ and the YouTube channel that we have going here. Please hit subscribe if you don't do it already. We are live weekly, a couple times each week, actually. Sunday night, we're live after every Georgia football game. Obviously, there won't be one of those for a few weeks now as Georgia continues its prep for Ohio State in the Peach Bowl semifinal. But we still have a presence. We were live last night talking about Stetson Bennett's Heisman candidacy, a lot of pushback on that. So if you want to see what we had to say about that pushback, obviously here at DawgsHQ, we're all for Stetson being in New York. But for the people in the media and some Tennessee fans that thought Hendon Hooker deserved to be there instead of Stetson, we had some thoughts on that. And I don't necessarily believe that it has to be Stetson over Hendon. I think both should have been there. I think there's a case for that, but it just didn't shake out that way. So if you want to keep up with that and hear some names that Georgia could potentially be looking at in the transfer portal, definitely make sure you are checking out and taking advantage of everything we have here on the DawgsHQ YouTube channel. Hit subscribe. We're a handful away from 2,000. So that'd be cool if you could bump us up to that. I like round numbers. I like progress, and it'd be cool if you could be the 2,000th person to do that. Who knows what could happen? You could pat yourself on the back for it. Anyways, Bill Norton is going to be a stud regardless of where he ends up. Chris Jameson says, as a Duck fan, you think Norton would be someone Lanning would be interested in? Well, let's look at Norton's recruiting history. Why don't we? Let me pull this up here. On3.com has his recruiting notes, his recruiting profile, and let's look at the names that recruited Bill Norton. Well. What do we see here? Recruited by Trey Scott and Dan Lanning. Yeah, I think that perhaps Bill Norton could be of interest to a coach like Dan Lanning. I'm not saying that's where he's going to end up. I'm just saying there's history there, and it could work out. As Dan Lanning's defense continues to take shape out there in the Pac-12. Maybe you see a little bit of a reunion out there. Could happen. But the world right now is Bill Norton's oyster. As I said when we hopped on, the recruiting legacy that he had as a high schooler coming out of Memphis, he was a dude. So I think he could have his pick of the litter. We'll see what people think about what he's done with his time at Georgia. I don't know if he's underperformed or just been buried. I don't know. That's not for me to say. But he came out in the 2019 class, the Christian Brothers School in Memphis, the highest rated of 3 defensive linemen signed out of Tennessee in the class. Tymon Mitchell, who's now at TCU, and Zion Logue, also in that mix, and Logue currently plays for Georgia. So a lot of college football playoff defensive line talent right there. When Kirby Smart was asked about the portal, he said that Georgia tries to build it where the players want to be a part of the program. And if they don't, then he acknowledges that it's an opportunity. And he went on to say, you're always going to look. People will try to reach out once they go in the portal. It's there. So that's what they're going to do. And I'll say that there's a remarkable culture at Georgia right now that a lot of guys haven't tested the portal waters. And look, any fan is going to see a guy leave and say, I guess he just didn't think he could cut it. He didn't want to compete. He couldn't make it. At a certain point, these guys have to make a business decision, though, and that's what Bill Norton did. I know it's tough timing. You look at Georgia going into the playoff, and you want all the depth you can get. But with that same token, wouldn't you rather have guys that want to be there? And that's not a slight to Bill Norton. But if the portal is open and he's got to make his moves, everybody else is making their moves. This isn't Bill Norton saying, I got to get out of Georgia. I got to leave. I hate this place. This is Bill Norton seeing that 1,000 kids enter the transfer portal yesterday, or however many did it. And he's got to make his moves too. He's got to look out for his career. And I think he'll still have a pretty solid career ahead of him. I encourage y'all to hit subscribe on the DawgsHQ YouTube channel, like I mentioned. Follow along with Bill Norton's career and wherever he ends up. The On3 Transfer Portal Tracker. That is a mouthful. But let me pull it up for y'all so you can see what it's all about. We just launched out of the On3 labs here a way for you to track teams, track players, see where they're going, see which school is coming out on top, which school is losing the most talent, which school is gaining the most talent, which school is just breaking even. That's all you want to do ultimately in the portal is break even. I don't think too many programs want to build their whole team off of the portal. I mean, you got to have some glue. And that's the great thing about what Georgia has going for it right now is there is some really strong glue with what Kirby Smart's done and making his team care about the team first. But you see right here, Bill Norton, the most recent player to enter the transfer portal. New team, undecided. We don't even have an inkling of where he may go. But here's what you want to check out if you are just kind of casually observing the portal as a fan. The team transfer portal rankings shows you the transfers in, the transfers out. You see UCLA's had 2 come in. They've had 7 go out. And you see what their score is and what their rank is based on the talent that's come in as opposed to what they've lost. And now you see Georgia is on the board here. 1 transfer out, no transfers coming in. If you go, as soon as I wrap up here and stop flapping my gums, if you go and watch last night's episode of the Georgia Show, Jake Rowe and I talked about some names that the Dogs could be looking at, some guys they've already offered, and they're receivers. Georgia's going after some receivers in this transfer portal class. I know you heard Kirby say we took 0 out of the portal right after they beat Tennessee. And that's something to be proud of when you look at how good this team is. But that doesn't mean that Georgia's always going to go no guys out of the portal. Kirby's not opposed to it. Don't get that twisted. He is proud of what the team did without having to go in the portal when a lot of other schools did. That doesn't mean Georgia's not going to look going forward. I assure you they are, and I expect them to take quite a few guys out of the portal this year, because if you're not benefiting from it when everyone else is, you're slipping, you're falling behind. And that's exactly what Bill Norton decided to do today himself. People are taking advantage of the portal. Individuals, players, they got to get on rosters themselves. They got to get jockeyed for their positions so they can land and have a chance to compete at their next stop. So that's what Bill Norton did. And stay with DawgsHQ.com as we keep up with any other dogs that happen to test those portal waters, get out and where they may go. And likewise, on the flip side, see who Georgia may be bringing in. Appreciate y'all hitting subscribe, helping this channel grow. We are an upstart YouTube channel in this loaded dogs market. Add us to your rotation. I don't expect you to make us the only show you listen to, which would be great if you did. But we bring something a little different to the table. We're different people. We got different energy. We got a different approach to this thing, and we're having fun at On3. And DawgsHQ staff, just the sky is the limit. We already have an SEC championship under our belts. And when we started last football season, you know what happened then. The Dogs won the national championship. So appreciate y'all giving us a shot. I'm not going to take all the credit for Georgia's success here lately, but I think maybe we've done a little bit. Maybe we've helped out a little bit. In all seriousness, y'all help us out a ton by engaging, interacting, following along, and there's much more where this came from. Until we meet again, peace.